Heaven watched them ignore you. That silence birthed your oil. You weren't invisible. You were hidden by God until the hour of unveiling. Their eyes missed you. God's eyes never did. You carried light they couldn't comprehend. That's why they looked away. Even angels whispered your name while men forgot it. Your wounds glowed. That's how they found you. The one meant to see you just opened their eyes. You were never overlooked, just reserved. It had to break you before it could reveal you. God didn't forget you. He was staging your entrance. They laughed. Heaven recorded it. You're not rising. You've been rising unnoticed. They finally see what pain sculpted. You were buried to be bloomed. God used rejection as divine direction. They didn't forget you. They feared you'd outshine. You didn't blend in because you were light. You weren't late. They were early. Every no taught your presence how to echo. That ache in your chest? God pressing you into purpose. You've been seen, in dreams, in prayers, in silence. You were never lost. They just didn't look deep enough. The ones who overlooked you will regret it loudly. The wait wasn't punishment. It was prophecy in progress. Their delay became God's stage. Even in silence, the heavens whispered your name. They only value you now because grace never gave up. You were hidden in plain sight, protected from imitation. The pain you swallowed is now being broadcasted as gold. The crowd missed you. Your person never did. Their attention is late. Your anointing isn't. You didn't need a stage. You were the altar. What they ignored is now sacred. You cried yourself into remembrance. They only see you now because destiny screamed. The right eyes finally found you. Don't run. Your silence screamed louder than applause ever could. God disguised you so only the deserving would notice. The same place they rejected you, watch it crown you. Your overlooked seasons birthed undeniable brilliance. They had to forget you. You had to find yourself. You were hidden in humility, wrapped in power. Their silence trained your soul to echo heaven. They didn't notice you because you carried God too quietly. Your presence will soon haunt the ones who looked away. You were passed over so God could pass through. What they dismissed, heaven preserved. You're not just being noticed. You're being revealed. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. God is now spotlighting what sorrow tried to erase. The ones who broke you will bow to your light. They thought you faded. You were just being refined. Heaven withheld the spotlight until your wounds healed. You were not unseen. You were sacred. The delay was divine precision, not punishment. You bloomed where they buried you. What they whispered, God is shouting now. You didn't disappear. You were becoming prophecy. They mocked your silence, not knowing it was sacred. You're rising now, not for revenge, but revelation. What was hidden in shame is being crowned in glory. They saw your pain. God saw your purpose. The ones who saw you small now feel you vast. You're finally being heard in rooms that forgot you. Their absence made room for heaven's arrival. That ache in your chest? That's your name being remembered. Your spirit has been igniting unseen. They overlooked you, but not your anointing. God is gathering the ones who never stopped praying for you. You were always worthy. Their blindness was never your burden. The same voice they silenced will now echo like thunder. You're not just being seen. You're being honored. The season of being invisible ends with heaven's applause. You were born to be noticed by souls, not eyes. They didn't believe until the heavens intervened. Your name is now being whispered by those who doubted you. You've become the miracle they never expected. What they rejected is now required. The glory rising in you cannot be ignored. God's eyes have always been on you. Now theirs must follow. You are divine evidence that waiting isn't wasting. Heaven is showcasing what heartbreak shaped. Their delay didn't destroy your destiny. Every tear became holy light. You weren't abandoned. You were assigned elsewhere. They see now because pain painted you in fire. You are not an afterthought. You are the divine finale. The voice of your soul just reached the one who matters. You no longer walk in shadows, only in sacred light. That ache they caused is now your audience. The silence was a setup. You're about to be heard. What ignored you will now orbit you. You didn't break, you became magnetic. God lifted the veil. Now the world must see you. You are being noticed by the one you prayed for. Your rejection was prophetic protection. They will soon say, "We always knew," but heaven knew first. You were born for this moment of divine attention. What left you in darkness has made you radiant. Your light is no longer hiding behind pain. Heaven is unveiling the soul no one saw coming. You weren't late. You were made for divine timing. They didn't recognize you. God disguised you. You're not rising. You are finally being remembered. Their attention is a byproduct of God's favor. What they see now is the result of private warfare. God is showing them the version of you they rejected. Your presence will now echo where you were once ignored. The season of shadows is over. You are proof that pain polishes purpose. They only see you now because you no longer need them. What they abandoned has become heaven's masterpiece. You are now walking into the rooms that once locked you out. The voice they tried to silence just became a trumpet. Every ignored prayer is now being fulfilled in public. You're not being discovered. You're being divinely recalled. Their ignorance was part of your insulation. God covered you while He prepared them. You no longer have to chase what is now orbiting you. Your tears summoned a holy audience. This spotlight isn't vanity, it's victory. They mocked your stillness. Now they study your glow. You were built in silence for public glory. They finally noticed, but you no longer need their eyes. Heaven never needed applause to validate you. You're now being seen through the eyes of the one chosen for you. Every closed door taught your spirit to sing. What was hidden in pain is now wrapped in reverence. They'll soon ask how you became unforgettable. The ones who broke, you just saw what they lost. You became holy fire in their absence. You didn't go unnoticed. You were just too sacred to see. Their delay didn't diminish your destiny, it magnified it. What overlooked, you cannot outrun the glory chasing you now. God wrote your name in places no one can erase. You weren't waiting, you were incubating. What ignored you yesterday will bow tomorrow. You are no longer hoping to be seen. You are chosen. Heaven has opened the curtains. Walk out glowing. They didn't love you because they never looked deep enough. Your silence was never weakness. It was prophecy. You've become everything they swore you couldn't. Now they look. Now they wonder. Now it's too late. This is the season where your light refuses to be dimmed. You are heaven's proof that rejection refines. You are now the one they speak about in whispers. You are not what they forgot. You are what God is revealing. Be still, they're watching. But God is guiding. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Like, comment your favorite quote and subscribe for more. You were never invisible, just sacred in a world that forgot how to see. Heaven has cleared the smoke. Now they finally see your fire. What they couldn't find in others, they're now remembering in you. Your absence became louder than their applause. They see you now, but only because God removed what blinded them. You weren't behind. You were being positioned. Their silence never meant you were unworthy. It meant they weren't ready. God sent a hush to the crowd so your soul could speak. You were the answer in a language they hadn't yet learned. The ache you carried now speaks, louder than your name. You were too divine to be obvious. They didn't overlook you. They weren't allowed to access you. Heaven never forgot the scent of your prayers. The ones who left will say, "I always knew." You are the evidence they once walked past a miracle. You weren't ignored. You were reserved for sacred timing. The silence wasn't rejection. It was holy stillness. They finally see what God always called beautiful. You were a soul in disguise, not a mistaken delay. The forgotten have always held the fiercest light. They looked away when you were raw. Now you shine. You are finally being seen because God said, now. The shame they gave you has now become your crown. The same ones who ignored you now mimic your glow. Your soul never begged to be seen, it waited to be known. They had to lose you to recognize your divine scent. You're not being noticed. They're finally returning to their original vision. You didn't fade. You were hidden in sacred fire. God covered you in silence until your anointing matured. You weren't unnoticed. You were just too radiant for the blind. What hurt you has now made you magnetic. They didn't understand you because you carried eternity. You are finally glowing in the places that dimmed you. What disappeared in shadows is now exploding in divine light. You no longer whisper. You thunder silently. The same eyes that ignored you now seek your gaze. You are noticed now because heaven shouted your name. Your name is being remembered where it was once erased. You were hidden in heartbreak, but born from glory. They see your light, but they'll never understand the burn. What they forgot, God has multiplied. You were too rare to be recognized by the crowd. They couldn't feel you before because you hadn't broken yet. You are rising in the same silence that once buried you. You never needed a stage. Your soul was the spotlight. The wind carried your name to someone holy. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. They didn't recognize you, but their spirit felt you. God has begun exposing what they once denied. The version of you they dismissed now moves mountains. They finally see you, but you no longer need their eyes. You were not rejected. You were remembered differently. You carried oil in your ache. They just smelled smoke. You weren't being punished. You were being perfected. You were seen by heaven long before the world noticed. You no longer seek approval. You are the permission. You were always the miracle. They just lacked vision. What they couldn't sit with, they now want to study. You didn't beg for love. You became love's language. The silence they gave you has now become your music. They failed to see your light because they never saw your wounds. You were hidden, so the wrong ones couldn't steal your fire. Their forgetfulness only fueled your becoming. You weren't invisible. You were camouflaged in destiny. God covered you in shadows to prepare your unveiling. You are not being found. You are being fulfilled. The crowd finally hears what your soul whispered all along. They didn't choose you. God hid you from them. The voice that cried alone is now shaking nations. You weren't missed. You were spared. They didn't love you because they feared your purity. You're no longer unseen. You're unstoppable. You are the miracle their doubt tried to destroy. What was once dismissed now demands attention. You carried the weight of silence until heaven spoke. They finally heard your heart when it stopped calling out. You're not being noticed. You're being revered. Your loneliness became sacred ground. You have been recognized by the one who matters. The soul they ignored now becomes their compass. You wore silence like armor. Now you wear glory. You didn't need a spotlight. You carried it. God turned their apathy into your awakening. They were never blind. They were forbidden. Your prayers outlived their absence. You are divine aftermath. You are the answered prayer they no longer deserve. You've outgrown the shadows that once held you. You didn't vanish. You ascended. They finally noticed. But you've already moved on. You were planted, not forgotten. The heavens are now louder than your heartbreak. What was once ignored is now protected by fire. Your silence trained the angels. Your suffering shaped their salvation. What was once overlooked has become holy legend. The name they forgot is now carved into prophecy. They didn't know you carried thunder beneath your skin. You no longer ache to be seen. You ache to obey. Their neglect could never diminish your call. You are remembered by those who never met you. Your tears have crowned you. You were invisible to them, not to destiny. The shame is lifting. The throne is near. Your soul was the storm they tried to silence. They look now, but you're already above them. Heaven's light is finally upon you. What you endured made your name holy. You became sacred by surviving what should have ended you. You're the miracle your pain prayed for. You no longer hope to be noticed. You walk in purpose. What they couldn't handle, God held tenderly. You are not what they missed. You are what heaven kept. They looked away. You became eternal. You are the sound after silence. Your arrival was written in suffering. You glowed in the dark. That's why they couldn't see. Your presence now demands the attention their hearts once denied. You were not late. You were anointed in slow fire. The same silence that broke you is now bending stars. You outshone their expectation with holy defiance. What was hidden in pain is now robed in grace. You are now the echo in rooms you once feared. You don't need their love. You carry heaven's favor. You are being witnessed by someone who sees your soul. The ones who forgot you now feel empty without you. You are the prophecy that never needed validation. The silence you endured has ripened into revelation. You are seen now because God said, "Let there be light." You didn't disappear. You transformed. They watch now, but can never touch again. Your essence cannot be dismissed anymore. What was hidden in pain is now rising in fire. They see you now because your soul roared. You've become too radiant to overlook. You are finally being seen for what you always were. Their delay made your arrival legendary. You weren't broken. You were burning your way free. You are walking into the light that once hurt your eyes. Your spirit has become undeniable. You no longer beg for sight. You command it. You're not being discovered. You are being glorified. You were seen by God before the crowd caught up. The ones who ignored you now worship from afar. You no longer chase because heaven follows you. You are too sacred to be missed again. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more.